And Amelia, I'm going to send you oh wait, no, here she goes.
Are we all audible?
I just promoted Diana, if that's what you're looking to do, Alexis.
Yeah, I was. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
So it's 6 o'clock and we can call to order. We've got a quorum.
Yes.
Should we have roll call?
Totally. John Mailing,
Here?
Steve Pocky,
Here.
Carol Brown,
Here.
Ed Holowinko. Ed Holowinko,
He is.
Matt
Here.
Maruzzi. Don't see Matt Pence. And Jen Balliot.
Here.
And I don't yet see Catherine Knight, but you do have a quorum.
All right. We may have some more people coming in or tuning in or something. But at this point, let's move to public comments. Is anybody scheduled to speak? Or is anybody requested to speak?
No, there are no attendees waiting in the wings to speak.
Okay. Then we'll move on to, we'll move past receipt and discussion, and we will move to 5, discussion and or decision. First item is S-22-5931 Old Kings Highway. Glazer Group. I see Mr. Glazer is here somewhere. I did see him. There he is.
Yes, it's here.
Construction of a new residence adjacent to the Silver Mine River. We've talked about this a lot. Alexis, you want to just pinpoint where we are now?
Sure. It was received a while ago. This is actually you have a decision deadline that is 65 days from the date of receipt, and so that date of receipt was about 65 days from today. It's not actually today, but you'd have to hold a public special meeting if you weren't to decide it at this meeting. So that you have 65 days from the date of receipt to make a decision. And that's unless the applicant wants to grant an extension of time for your continued consideration. I know that you briefly discussed the application at the last meeting, and that at the meeting before that, you had some discussion regarding the limits of disturbance and a buffer area where there would be kind of no work at all, but also kind of a long-term buffer where there would not be any further mowing or lawn area. And I'll just note that Catherine Knight has arrived at the meeting. And so I did add some materials to the city's the webpage with all the pending applications. And I can review those if you like. As always, I encourage you to go out to the site if possible to have a look. But we did take some photographs of the area between the proposed house construction and the river. And then also added to the webpage is a buffer plan submitted by the applicant last week. It is the site plan with some green dots along the silt fence line or the limit of disturbance. And then I also posted a buffer plan proposed by myself in case you wanted to potentially make a decision tonight if the applicant decides that it's not in his best interest to grant you an extension of time. I did write you a staff report in which I kind of lay out your options for a decision, which would be denial if you feel that that was warranted, approval of the plan that has been submitted by the applicant or approval with conditions and modifications. And that modification is shown on the website. So that's kind of my overview,
Okay.
bold as it is.
We have you submitted 2 draft resolutions, one of which is pretty much the same thing that's been before us for the last month or so. And another one, which is an attempt to try to find a way to establish the buffer in a way that it will be recognized as a buffer for the foreseeable future. I don't know whether or not Mr. Glazer has seen that. He has not. Okay.
The memo, no, the memo just goes to you guys. And Amelia, I'm unable to share my screen. I don't know if you can.
I can
Sorry?
try, but I don't know if I can connect the G drive right now. Let me see if I can do that.
I was just trying to connect to the city website.
Oh yeah, I have that open.
When I try to share a screen, there comes up, it seems to think that I have nothing to share.
Okay,
been
let me
having-
see.
Zoom meeting issues all day.
Well, the submission, the new submission,
Interesting.
what are we looking for?
So if you could not navigate to the conservation pending applications, Old Kings Highway, there you go. And then would you like one of these plans shown? There's the newly submitted site plan by the applicant that says new site plan with plant plan. And then there are the staff proposed buffer plan or the photographs of the site.
Well, the applicant has suggested, in addition to the silt fence, a string of grasses of which he sent a photograph. Not, I mean, I think they're reasonably, I don't know how tall they are or whatever, but they are attractive. The whole point of this is delineate the buffer zone. And the original material was included in staff's memorandum, along with a new, or new to me, summary of what might work. And Mr. Glazer has not seen that. And so I think that it might make sense to just run through it. And those commissioners who haven't read it can be refreshed, or have read it, it can be refreshed, and Mr. Glazer can be aware. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, and just to kind of clarify, look, when I write these memos, what I'm trying to do, especially when you are up against a decision deadline, is my goal is to, at the end of the day, get an application through the system and get an approval. And I know that at your previous 2 meetings, you had expressed that some concerns about what had been submitted by the applicant previously. And so in the draft resolution to approve with conditions and modifications, what I'm trying to do is provide you with a potential draft resolution to approve that has modifications that where I tried to reflect some of the concerns that you had previously expressed concern about.
Which I think has been accomplished, and it's good. But I think that I'm sure that both we and Mr. Glazer would like to get this resolved tonight if we can. And it seems to me that we ought to be able to. I'm just going to, the draft resolution that we have is standard in most ways. It's very specific, but not in general related to the buffer. The one specific part that is related to the buffer, in addition to that which has been discussed previously, goes as follows. A watercourse buffer shall be established and maintained on the property in the 45-foot wide strip adjacent to the Silvermine River. This buffer area shall be maintained in such a manner that allows this area to establish a natural vegetated state. The area should not be maintained as lawn, landscape, garden, or manicured feature. No mowing or vegetation removal shall occur within the area. The buffer may be reduced to a width of 30 feet for no more than 40 feet of the buffer length in the vicinity of the proposed stormwater galleries. A mowed path no more than 10 feet wide may be maintained for pedestrian access to the river within the 30-foot wide portion of the buffer. The above described watercourse buffer shall be enhanced with the planting of 45 native shrubs. A minimum of half the plants must be planted along the buffer limit line. Otherwise, they should be planted within the least vegetated portions of the buffer. All plants shall be species that are native to Connecticut, no cultivars, and have a minimum height of 36 inches at the time of planting. Mr. Glazer, what think you of that possible solution to the buffer situation? I think you're muted.
Mr. Glazer, you're muted.
Can you hear me now? Yes.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, okay. So just, it sounds reasonable, but just to clarify, the red line is sort of the demarcation line between the untouched area and obviously the graded area. There would be a planting of 45 shrubs, 36 inches in height at planting on a line or on a kind of, I'm not sure, and we can talk about this, Alexis and I can talk about this too. If that's kind of where you're going, and then a 10-foot, because people do want to be able to access, obviously, down to the river though. Everything that you're shown here, the ground is very natural. If anybody went out to the site, you would see it's kind of interesting. That area does not grow up. So there's a lot of moss, there's a lot of natural scape, and it's, you know, I have no issues. I don't have the wording in front of me, though, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate you reading it. And it does sound like something I could accept. Sounds like it.
Well, I think it intended to be reasonable, and it's also something that will allow us to complete this tonight and not have you bidding for an extension.
No, exactly.
Doubt that you want to do.
No, this is the last agency to sign off, so I'm anxious. This project, unbeknownst to all of you, has been bogged down in a bunch of different things for over a year and a half, and obviously I'm anxious to get it going. You can see the natural scope there. It does not grow, but it's not, I have no issues because I live right, that's my house on the left. And it's a very rough scape there too, except the fact that we live on kind of a river gorge, and the site is big enough to allow this section, the other people, whoever lives there, to have plenty of other recreational area, that this area does not have to be touched.
Okay.
So I think I am, so the long and short is, I think I'm okay with your draft. I believe Alexis will both spell out species possibilities and also rough locations, Alexis?
Yes, yes. I don't think we're looking to build a hedge.
Right, I don't want, yeah, I don't, I would like.
We know that neither you nor we are looking to do that. So.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, then let me just ask the other commissioners to weigh in here. with any kind of comment or question or concern that we can discuss, Mr. Glazer can address.
I'm ready to propose a motion to accept the first option with modifications as written.
Okay, there's a motion.
Oh, well, I'm throwing it out there for, in case anybody else wants to comment. I mean, I'm happy with it. Sounds like the applicant's happy with it. Sounds like Alexis is happy with it. So I'm game for it if everybody else is.
Well, if you care to propose the motion.
Okay, I'll move
Okay,
to,
I will
for,
second.
I'll
memorandum.
second.
Okay, right.
I'll second that.
Okay, so it's moved and seconded, and now we can have discussion. If anyone has a problem or an observation specifically related to the motion. Alexis, we don't have to read the resolution, do we? For the record,
No. No, but I do have a problem with my memo. I would, on special condition number 6, there's the word 45, which is correct, and then it's followed by the numerical. It says 44, but that number should be 45 as well.
Okay, then the motion is before us for the recommendation as outlined in staff memorandum dated May 9th on S-22-593 with corrections as noted by staff.
Before you, Mr. Chairman, before
Yes.
you vote, I
So
haven't
what-
seen this memorandum. I guess, but typically, I guess you get approvals with conditions. So I guess that's the way it works.
Yep.
So,
You can give us an extension to go
So-
another
No.
couple weeks.
so I'm not going to do that. No. I'm assuming based on, Mr. Chairman, what you said and what Alexa said, that the gist of what the ask is of the applicant is what you stated. And I'll go on, with all due respect to all of you, I'll go on your.
Well, Mr. Glazer, I assure you that there will be no surprises at the
Okay.
end of this line.
Fair enough.
Okay, just if we have nothing else between us, then you have our word on that. Okay, we have a motion on the table. Is there any other discussion? It's perfectly appropriate for Mr. Glazer to discuss, even though he's not voting. Hearing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor of Commissioner Clark's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Abstentions? Hearing none, the application is granted as we've discussed. And Mr. Glazer, we thank you for your patience.
Thank you also for your time.
And then,
Okay,
and I'm sorry, Jen Valley, did you, I didn't see you come in. Was it just after the meeting, like 6:05, right?
I was here before the meeting started for roll call.
yeah, she was here for roll call.
Oh, shoot, I just didn't click it. Sorry, I clicked off
That's
the
okay.
wrong. I'm sorry, it was Catherine.
Yeah.
It was about 6:05. So it's wrong. Okay,
I have Catherine down as arriving at 6:03, Alexis.
thank you.
Okay. We can move on to 5B, S-22-594, 9 and 10 Hollow Spring Road. Brought before us by the Hollow Spring residents. And a lot of material was supplied today or yesterday. Alexis, there was some,
Yesterday, and sorry, I cannot share my screen. There is, so again, on the city's webpage, there is a 2-page narrative regarding the proposed activity and explaining why there are some contingencies, just because the applicant has not done any digging at all to uncover the pipe, but knows that the pipe is blocked. So it's at the top of the, sorry, not this one. So, and then you can stay here for a second. So then also the applicant and the applicant's here, I'll explain all this in a moment as well. But he did a more detailed drawing of the pipe and its location relative to the road and the wetland and where the discharge is. So, okay, so this is the description of the activity in detail. And then the labeled pipe drawing is a more information regarding where exactly the blocked portion of the pipe is and the portion of the pipe that the applicant is reasonably confident can be removed and replaced.
The where on the schematic that is before us now, where it says outflow, I think there's a photograph, isn't there, that shows what that outflow looks like?
Yes, and
Where
that
the water in
is
fact does
photo.
go.
Sorry, Amelia, it's stop. No, it's photo number
It's
5, I think.
It's not 1 or 2, it's 3 or 4 or 5 or something.
Oh, okay, so then it's
Okay,
3.
there, that's the one, that's the one. So the water goes under the highway here, and at the moment it's blocked, so it backs up. But under at least one of the possibilities outlined by the applicant, the water would continue and go into that wetlands area that we see on the other side of the road.
Correct.
And if in fact the applicant chose to go with the solution that involves cutting the pipe so as to remove the clog but not replace it with anything, and the water would just go through the pipe under the street and then flow out in some sort of small channel with some rocks in it to break up the flow or something like that. But basically it would open up and flow back out into the wetlands. Am I understanding that correctly in terms of the first alternative that was outlined by in the follow-up?
And you just need to unmute yourself again, Mr. Reynolds. And then Amelia, it's photo number 3, I think is.
How's that? Can you hear me now?
Must be number 4. Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
that's the outflow.
Right. Mr. Reynolds, we can't make the decision as to which way you should go.
Okay,
I don't believe. Am I correct in that, Alexis? I mean, our job is to evaluate your proposition, your application, after you've gone through the process of saying, okay, we've looked at a variety of things, and we're applying to do this.
okay. Well, go on.
No, you please. I mean, if you,
Oh, okay, great.
you've outlined
Yes.
2 things here, but you haven't picked one. One
Well,
of them is
I would like to go with the first one where we do not replace the pipe. I feel to pull the pipe up, which is to put new stuff down, would probably go against the whole idea. If we put new piping, it'd be concrete, bring it into the wetlands, would not be a very good idea, and just let it flow and then make sure that it flows and flout, and then we could keep track of any roots. And with the roots, I think we would have to, when we get to the blocked part, that would have to be examined. And I'm very cognizant of that large tree that's there. It must be at least, I would say, about 15 inches in diameter, maybe slightly more. We would break up the pipe at that point where the blockage is. So we wouldn't try not to cut into the roots as much as we can. And then clear the block and just let the water flow back into the wetlands and take all the pipe that we've removed away. And the earth,
how deep do you think the pipe is where it is blocked?
I think
How
it's somewhere
below?
between, it varies, Alexis, I think somewhere between 10 and 11, maybe 8 inches. I think I said something in the approximately 8 to 12 inches deep. It's hard because the ground, if you look, there's another photograph which looks at from the road, and you can see it sort of goes up and then it goes down into the wetlands. Well, I mean, it's all wetlands. I mean, it just goes into the water course, to be exact. I mean, I looked at on my new plan, the large scale one, you could see where I marked the wetland boundary, which is almost adjacent to the road, to be honest with you. So it's, so anyway, that's the plan. And I've already got a contractor in to look at it, and he says, yeah, that's a great idea. He's given me a price to do that, and the main thing, to take away the old pipe and leave the pipe that's under the road intact and just flowing in as much as it can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. So Alexa's question, we don't have a resolution on this, but we do have an outline that leads up to the proposed solutions, which we discussed and with which I don't think we had any particular difficulty. Explaining what the problem was, looking at the contingencies for solving it, considering the fact that there was water backing up and freezing on and near the road. And now the applicant has said that through the details just finished describing, that water will not back up because it's going to be going downhill, and it will go into the wetlands. And it would seem to me that the combination of that recommended solution plus the other material that surrounds it might allow us to act on this. I mean, we don't have to have a resolution, I don't believe, do we? I mean, it's.
No, I think anytime if someone were to make a motion, I would just note that you have considered all of the considerations for decisions within your wetland regulations. So that basically you've thought about the impacts to the wetlands and watercourses and what impacts these proposed activities. You've considered all that, and that you've then made your decision to whatever you like. Yes.
Yeah, yes, I have considered all that, in as much the earth that we take up to make the trench, I mean, it's going to be redistributed over the wetlands areas, which is giving it back to
Right.
where
No,
it comes from.
I was saying that the commission, before
right,
they
sorry.
make a decision, they will need to to confirm that they have done that.
I think you're off the hook, Mr. Reynolds. I think for the moment, we need to get our procedures in line, not you. You've done your job. We need to get ours done.
Fair enough, fair enough.
I'm prepared to make a motion on this, but before I do it, I really would like to make sure that any observations or concerns that commissioners have, get on the table. Now's the time to sort them out.
So Steve Clocky has his hand raised.
Really?
Yeah, I just, this seemed to me to potentially be a situation where we're unsure going in to, the remediation or whatever to fixing this problem, and then people make decisions on the fly, and then it maybe potentially gets out of control, and then we've got kind of a mess on our hands. I'm personally not comfortable going off of, a narrative and a, one-page drawing, just because I'm not really concerned about the pipe itself. I'm just concerned about the backhoes and the people and the, what happens if we dig up this whole thing and yada, yada, yada. So I think I probably said it when we received this application, but I would highly, highly, highly recommend having a professional engineer involved to actually get out there and make a professional assessment and then put together a drawing, could be just one drawing, that shows, boundary of disturbances and, erosion control measures, et cetera, et cetera. So like I said, I'm not so concerned about what's happening with water, because I think we all understand that, but I'm just afraid that once you start getting people in there and you're just kind of out there waving arms and such, this thing could really get out of control and cause cause damage, not intentionally. I'm not saying you do that intentionally, but I just kind of, I don't know. I'm not comfortable moving forward with this based on the information we have.
And then Commissioner Knight also has her hand raised.
Yeah, I also agree because I'm a little bit confused because I thought that the section of the pipe that was going to be repaired was kind of a little bit under the road from the discussion last time, unless I missed something. And now it's more, seems to be in the woodland area. So I would think that maybe there might be some permission granted for ring fenced exploratory work to really understand what needs to happen in order to fix it. But there does need to be silt fences and understanding how there's going to be protection for erosion control and all these things, so that we don't, in the process of exploring and figuring out what, confirming the problem and as well as fixing it, that we minimize the impact on the existing wetland. And it's not clear to me how that's going to happen.
Okay.
And then Commissioner Brown has her hand.
I also agree that erosion control needs to be taken into consideration. But on top of that, I'd like to see some kind of soil stabilization afterwards, perhaps, seeding or something to stabilize the soil, because we're going to be disturbing all of this. And I believe it's either right adjacent or actually in the wetland. And we can't just leave the soil exposed in that area.
And then Commissioner Merluzzi has his hand raised.
It seems fairly straightforward to me, but so I'd be prepared to vote on it.
I'm sorry, Matt, I didn't catch it.
It seems fairly straightforward to me, the removal of the pipe. I'd be prepared to vote on it.
Okay, well, let me ask this question. Mr. Reynolds, you guys have all been very patient. And I anticipate it seems to me that it's reasonable to say that from what the commissioners have all said, that there is no objection to doing what it is that you're proposing to do. There is concern about quantifying and specifying the aspects of doing it.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, it could mean, in practical terms, putting together a very specific proposal that reflects the commissioner's concerns, worked out with Alexis, and resulting in a draft resolution that we can consider at our next meeting and accept and vote on, that represents within it the concerns and limitations and of the commissioners.
I don't. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't. I mean, we would like to be expeditious, but it's more important that we cover the concerns. These folks are, knowledgeable and thoughtful, and it's the way it's working the way it should do. Matt and I would go for it, but I think it's probably better to wait. I don't know whether we need to move that, but that's my thinking. Alexis, does
No, there's no, you don't need to make a motion tonight. So Mr. Reynolds, what I suggest is that you call me tomorrow, or we can go ahead and make an appointment to maybe meet on Friday, the 13th, to go over your plan in the office, and I will show you examples of what the commission is talking about. And I think that with my assistance will get you to where you need to be.
I don't understand one of the commissioners pointing out that once we uncover the pipe, things could get out of hand. I really don't understand that point of view. So if you could explain that in more detail, what you exactly mean by getting out of hand, I would really appreciate it.
Sure. I think the other commissioners, Knight and Brown, put maybe a finer point on it about mucking up the area, to put it simply. That's what I'm mostly concerned about.
So I think that they're looking for, in approving the proposal, they're looking for additional information that makes it very clear the limits of disturbance and where machinery would go and where excavated spoils would go, and just kind of showing, so we know where the pipe is, but just kind of showing where that area of work would be as well.
Well, you see where the two, you
I think,
see,
sorry,
On a plan.
just to clarify to you, I don't think anybody has objections. Obviously, the pipe needs to be repaired and everybody's supportive of that. What we're missing for us as being the inland wetland and the statutes is understanding how, in doing the work, the impact to the wetlands is going to be managed. So we haven't seen anything to help us understand how the work is going to be done and what is going to be put in place to manage the impact. In doing
that might mean, I don't know, the backhoe would come. You see, I don't know about you, but in front of me, I have the picture, the photograph that I took. It goes from the mouth of the tunnel to along, and then there are 3 red markers there. The backhoe, I'm not even sure what size, it'd probably be a small one, would come between those trees and start digging up the pipe as it goes back. The earth would be put on either side, which is where it would be dug from, and that's what would happen. Well, and it's all part of the wetlands. All that
Right,
ground.
so
is part of the
by dumping the dirt on the side rather than, let's say, in more a controlled area, are you potentially suffocating all plants on either side of where you're digging? And could it possibly be done in a way that's less impactful on the wetland?
I mean, we plan to just spread it over, so it would be over a wide area. So it wouldn't be suffocating any of the plants. It would be spread out.
I think, Mr. Reynolds, what is going to, I think, work best here and get both parties to where they want to get is if we quantify all this, put it down on paper in a way that we can all see, read, and understand, and then I think probably very likely support it. The cost to you and your fellow applicants would be the extra effort that you have to take with staff to get this stuff written down, and the 2 weeks that you would miss between now and our next meeting.
Yeah.
But there's I mean, we're not looking for reasons to not do this. We're looking for ways to do it right and to do it in a way that we walk away from it and say, okay, under just about any foreseeable circumstances, this is going to cause no difficulties down the road to the wetlands. That's what we're looking to do.
If you don't mind me jumping in, and I don't want to put words in Alexis's mouth, but I think staff is already contributing a lot to a lot of applications. And I think everyone would maybe benefit from just having a third-party professional draft something up that is easy for us just to look at, know what's happening, sign off, and everyone's on their way. So I would just suggest that you're welcome to lean on Alexis as much as she's willing to be leaned on. But really, that's only one option. Another option would be just to hire a professional engineer and just to knock it out that way.
I see.
Let's go one step. I believe that we're in a position to have staff work with applicants to come up with something that we can see, understand, and work with. Alexis, do we need a motion to undertake that? process over the next 2 weeks? Or can we just decide to do it?
Yeah, no, so I just would encourage you don't need any motion for anything at the moment, and I would encourage the applicant to give me a call and we'll work out a time to meet and I think sort this out in advance of the 24th.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here in a fortnight's time. And
that's right.
that it will have to be pushed back to a further maybe month or 4 weeks.
Okay,
Well,
so look, I will give you a call. Will you be here tomorrow?
I'll be here tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes, I'll be here tomorrow.
So I will give you a call to discuss.
Okay, sounds good.
It may not be necessary to wait the whole month, Mr. Reynolds. But you and staff can discuss over the next couple of weeks the, possibility of having us vote on this now that when presuming that we're going to understand it in your absence.
Okay, sounds good.
As a possibility, I'm just saying. I mean, I don't want to. If you would prefer to be there and we can do it in 4 weeks, we'll do it your way. But that's just a consideration for you.
Okay. Well,
thank you for your patience, and we look forward to this getting resolved quickly.
excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye-bye now.
Moving on. Alexis, do you need anything more from us on this?
Nope, I think that's
Okay.
good.
Okay, we'll move on to 13 Valley Road, the Laurel Rock Company landscaping, tree work, and lawn establishment in and adjacent to wetlands and watercourse.
So this is tabled to potentially the next meeting. I did speak with the applicant, being the Laurel Rock Company, and they are going to work on having a landscape architect who's on staff rework the proposal. I also talked to them about the buffer that was previously established in the 1995 wetland permit that allowed the construction of the house. So they were going to reconsider, take all that information in and come up with a landscape management plan. But we don't have that yet. So I would just recommend tabling it until they can submit. I went over with them the timelines for a decision, and they plan to have a final or a revised plan in at least 2 weeks prior to the decision deadline.
Well, do we have, would it be inappropriate to discuss this a little bit based on what we heard last time and what's occurred since?
I would recommend, since the applicant is not here because they were under the impression it would be tabled, I would hold off those comments to the next meeting. If there is, I guess if any individual commissioner has a specific concern, email me and I can relay that to the applicant.
Very well.
Just one thing, this isn't a specific concern, but would it be possible to help us understand what the conditions were for the permit for buildings, just so we have that understanding?
Yes, I will add, I had all of that information scanned, and so I will add that to the website so that you can review it.
Is that the 1995 permit application you were talking about last time?
Yes, so the house was constructed in 1995, and there was a substantial amount of disturbance for the construction of the house and the installation of the on-site septic system. And it does talk about the wetland itself and establishing a buffer. Of course, that buffer, anyone can apply for a permit to change that buffer. And they may or may not decide to move forward with that proposed change. But I'll share all this scanned information that I had with you guys. I'll either add it to the website or email it to you directly.
Okay. Thank you. Then we can move along to 5D, S22 59675 Witch Lane, FCN engineering dredging of existing pond in and adjacent to wetlands and water.
So this was received at your last meeting. You had some initial discussion. I did not have a chance to talk to the applicant yet, but I don't know if you want to have some additional discussion. I don't know if anyone has been able to go out to the site to have a look. With all applications, I always strongly recommend it, but definitely for any significant regulated activity, I think it is wise to go out and have a look at the wetland and water course itself. I would like to talk to the applicant more about the potential. I think I had mentioned it before, some kind of emergent plant shelf around the proposed pond. But other than that, I don't have any comments.
Well, excuse me. I visited the site and had difficulty based on my background and experience, which does not make me anything remotely like a soil scientist. But to me, it appears that the area that was described as a pond, and may at one time have been a pond for all I know, is now one of the best examples of a wetlands, which a water course passes by and does not go into, that I've seen. There is an active running water course that extends quite some distance back from this area on Witch Lane, and it flows very nicely around the area that was described as a pond. It seemed to me that the area that was once a pond has changed. It has been overtaken by alluvial soil washed down from the stream and is now a wetlands. And but my judgment is insufficient. And I would recommend to my colleagues that we get a professional wetland scientist to come in and give us a separate opinion as to the condition of this property.
I agree. I also went to the site to look, and I had the same reflections and observations that you had, and just trying to understand then replacing the wetland with a pond and understanding what the impact would be. And it would be very helpful to have a third-party assessment.
Alexis, do we need a motion?
Okay, so I'm just confirming that you are talking about, sorry, I'm trying to open the regulations. You're talking about a third-party review through your fee schedule, where you are seeking an outside second opinion from a professional wetland scientist to review the proposal and assess its impacts to the wetland and water course. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think so. We just basically want to assess this property that everybody agrees is the property of concern, which is described in one way as a wetlands and another way as a former pond. It's a very limited piece of ground. We don't need any investigation of upstream or downstream, space that I can see. It's interesting because of the placement. If you look on the other side of the road, you see what's obviously a very nicely groomed pond, which is defined by the state as a body of water of a certain size. That's all the description that I was able to find as to what a pond is. So, I mean, without really just chewing on it, you know, we're looking at you know, the description that the soil origin is that excavated from the past pond area and the material being dredge spoils. It doesn't seem likely to me. So anyway, I would say that your description of what's wanted is pretty close. And then we can look at this, or we and the applicant together can look at this.
Okay, so applicant, what the commission is saying is under their section 6818, chapter 18 of the regulations, which is application fees, paragraph F talks about the authority for them to require additional technical assistance of outside consultants evaluating an application. And it sounds like they're looking for a professional wetland scientist to review the impacts to the wetland and water course. So I don't know, maybe agency members, you can make that into a motion just to make it clear that that's what you would, that you're requesting with the applicant. Be subject to paragraph F of your fee schedule. And
Well, so moved.
in order to retain a professional wetland scientist, okay?
So moved. Or here a second.
I second that.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Can I just
Did you
ask?
raise your hand?
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
Yes.
I wasn't at the last meeting when this was presented, so I'm just wondering what the intention behind it is. Is it for draining purposes? Is it to turn this back into a pond? I mean, the scope of the project is definitely large, so I'm just wondering what the purpose of it is.
The applicant can chime in if they want, but I believe that the intent was to return the aesthetics of the property that it had previously, which was a pond in the kind of in the center of the property. Aesthetics, and then they also discussed kind of storage, but I don't know if the actual storage capacity has been determined by an engineer.
Yes, Wayne Devanzo, Fairfield County Engineering. That's correct. It's primarily for flood capacity to improve it and limit any flooding to the immediate area, the eventual future driveway area, and aesthetics. That is the two main reasons.
Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer. I think there's a more detailed description in the website.
Yes, there is. There is a.
I may have missed the original application.
Right, you're at the last meeting, right?
Right, and there's a sketch there that's very helpful.
Yes.
Right.
And so I'd say for Wayne applicant, you may want to provide, well, I'll finish up the review letter that I've started, but you may want to provide some background information regarding the flood capacity improvements that you talk about. I don't think I saw that in your application.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I moved, I think I moved your description of what we need to do to, and I think we're awaiting a second. Ed, did you have your hand up?
I think Commissioner Brown seconded.
Oh, did, okay, fine, all right, fine. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, any opposed? None. Okay, the motion carries, and we will get that work done expeditiously. Alexis, I don't think it should take very long if the scientist is not otherwise engaged.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to section 6, fee waivers, reduction request. That's Hollow Spring Road, and I think, well, in my view, the pursuant to the discussion we've just finished on Hollow Spring Road, that we could wait until the next session to discuss this. Can we put this off without a motion?
You can, however, when you get to your next meeting, I will encourage you to not make a decision on the application until either the fee has been paid or there's a fee waiver. So your regulations specifically say that an application is incomplete if the fee has not been paid. So you're, so just be aware of that.
Well, we could resolve this now. My sense is that there is sentiment to relieve the applicant of at least a portion of this, of the fee. How much of the fee is out of pocket, Alexis? We have something like $90 for advertising, I believe, and is there something else?
Right. One second. So the fee is $600, I believe. So that's a $510 base fee. $60 of the base fee goes straight to the state of Connecticut. There's a state land use fee. So $60 goes to the state of Connecticut. $90 of the total fee goes to the hour. So that's $150 that I am being, that I have to give hard cash to other entities.
If we waive this fee, does the state of Connecticut still get its money?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I'm not sure how.
So the state fee isn't based on your fees. The city of Norwalk has to give $60 to the state of Connecticut for any land use decision that it makes, whether you charge a fee or not.
All right. Okay.
Alexis, could you remind me what section of our regulations cover this, please?
Yes, it's chapter 18, sorry, or page 38.
Okay, so it
Paragraph
says oops, waiver. Okay, applicant may petition the agency to waive, reduce, or allow delayed payment of the fee. Such petition shall be in writing and shall state fully the facts and circumstances that the agency should consider its determination under this subsection. The agency may waive all or part of the application fee if the agency determines that either A, the activity applied for will clearly result in a substantial public benefit to the environment or to the public health and safety, and the applicant would reasonably be deterred from initiating the activity solely or primarily as a result of the amount of the application fee. I don't see that as being true in this case. Or B, the amount of the application fee is clearly excessive in relation to the cost of the city for reviewing and processing the application. I also don't see that as true, especially since we're, again, relying on staff to do the work that should otherwise be done by engineers. So you're gonna have a hard time finding me voting yay for waiving any sort of this, any portion of this fee. Sorry if I'm sounding like a jerk about it, but to me, it's pretty black.
It's your vote as commissioner.
So I can read, so as part of his narrative, the narrative submitted with the application, there is a letter requesting the fee waiver. And he refers to both subparagraph A and B in that paragraph H. And I'll just read that out loud real quickly if you want. So for the first one, the amount of water accumulating at the side of Hollow Spring owing to the drain blockage flows at the side of the road, then crosses over the road into a water course on the other side of the road. Its natural destination. In winter, this freezes over and becomes a danger to traffic using the road. Also, the stream of water running at the side of the road is wearing away at the side of the road, which could cause further hazard. So that's the first one regarding his point regarding the public good, I think.
Okay.
And then subparagraph B, it goes on to say, initially, we tried to clear this blockage using a hydrogen pressure system to no avail. At that point, we had already paid the city of Norwalk $25 for a permit, which is really a declaratory ruling, to carry out that maintenance.
Just a
We-
question. This is a private homeowners association, so they are in charge of their roads.
Correct.
Right. I'm going to, in an attempt to at least address this before our next meeting, I'm going to make a motion that we waive all but the the $150 out-of-pocket expense that we have relating to this fee. Do I need to elaborate?
You just need a second, I think.
Well, yeah,
Anyone can second, so seconding just moves the motion to the floor. Seconding does not mean that you concur or anything, and it looks like
No.
Mr. Hollowinko seconded.
Mr. Hollowinko seconded. So motion is made and seconded. All in favor of the motion? I suppose we should just have a hand raise, because I don't expect everybody to be in favor. Okay, all those opposed? What, we have three.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe can I do a voice vote?
Let's go back, huh?
Or, okay, just do an extended 4 hand raise. I lost
Okay,
track.
those in favor. Okay,
Okay,
that appears to be 3.
okay,
And those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. The motion fails. Okay. I just have to say in parentheses, I don't, this is not a competition. It's not like a question of who wins or whatever it is. It's us doing our business the way we think we should do it. That's all. Okay. So that moves us on to this bond release of 405 Rowayton Avenue. I don't know anything about this at all.
that's
This
fine.
is S18 529. 405
Yes.
Rowayton Avenue. It's a bond release of $350.
Right, it was a corrective action application. This is a property on Rowayton Avenue, just south of actually where the, if you've tried to go down Rowayton Avenue, the bridge that brings you over Keeler's Avenue has been closed since the tropical storm Ida did some damage to its footings. This property owner had done some work without a permit that included restoring or returning a bridge, I guess you could call it, over Keeler's Brook to the other side of his property. His property is bisected by the brook. He didn't get any permits to do that. And he also did some, he installed quite a bit of concrete block along the banks of Keeler Brook. So he did stop work. He did get a corrective action permit in 2018. That permit allowed him to retain the new bridge that he had installed over the river, but required that he remove all but a small portion of the concrete block that he installed along the banks of the river. He was allowed to keep block where there had previously been a retaining wall. Yes.
This is the big flooding thing that we went
Yes.
through.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
I
yes.
remember it. Okay.
And so you had held a larger bond. Most of that bond was previously released by you. You had saved $350 solely for the final stabilization of one of the restored stream bank sections. At the time of the bond release, it was not in the middle of a growing season, and you requested that a growing season be in full so that we could see the vegetation. So I did recently do an inspection. I'd share my screen and the photograph if I could, but for whatever reason, I cannot share my screen, but I will attest that it is a seeded bank slope with assorted vegetation. And that's all that was required. He was supposed to seed it with the native seed mix.
And they did that.
Yes,
Okay, so staff recommends we give them their $350 back.
I guess so. Yep.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Seconded.
Hmm?
Okay.
Do you need a motion for this? Or?
I think we had a Clocky motion and a Knight second, if I got that right.
Oh, okay. I second it.
Okay, I think Commissioner Knight already seconded.
Ah,
I think.
okay, I'll catch up. Don't give up.
You can call the vote though.
I call the vote. Moved and seconded to give back the $350 to the Vegas. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. It passes. We'll refund them their money. We move on to section 8, the approval of minutes from April 26th. Anyone have any comments or observations about the minutes? Hearing none, I move the minutes be accepted.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded that the minutes be accepted. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Comments of staff?
No.
Okay.
It's only Tuesday. It feels like it's been a long week already. So yeah, obviously I've got so much on my plate. I don't know what week it is. So yeah, I don't think I'll comment tonight.
Okay. Any comments from commissioners?
One comment has nothing to do with the applications, but something I saw in the photo from 1 Kings Highway, the extension cord running out from the neighboring property to a fountain that looks like somebody put a fountain in the middle of the river.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't quite sure what that was about.
Yeah, so aerators. I have never regulated aerators so that you can get an aerator.
They're normally in ponds, not in moving water.
I agree. It
And
is
normally, if you're doing it, for the deep river like that, you do air bubbles to stratify the oxygenation, but surface isn't really going to oxygenate a river.
Yeah, I agree. So I don't regulate the installation of aerators, which are more typically used in ponds. I don't know what the purpose of it is there. I'd have to agree. I don't understand why it's there, but we don't regulate aerators. And as I've said like 5 times today, we regulate a lot of things, but we don't regulate all the bad ideas. And yeah, I'd say that is not a great idea. But I don't know if it's necessarily a violation of the wetland regulations.
Well, I don't
since we
know
regulate them.
how it is in a flood in terms of like what they've done to stabilize it so it doesn't get swept away, or you've got like a live wire power cord going through.
Right. I can check with the zoning
don't know.
enforcement
I'm just
officer.
flagging it.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of things that are restricted within the, because that is the flood way. I don't know if that would be enough of a restriction, but I can ask. Yes.
Are you talking about upstream of the waterfall?
Yes, upstream of the waterfall, you see.
That's
kind
not
of
gonna, that doesn't get that much current in that part. I mean, because it's so wide.
it gets less than immediately downstream of the dam, but it definitely does. It's flowing, especially during big storm events. But good question. So we do get a lot of calls about aerators, and generally we don't regulate them since they are kind of floaties that have a power cord. They often do have one tether to the shore so that people can kind of bring them back in. This one, like you noticed, I think it has 2 tethers so that it doesn't continue to flow downstream. But in the past, we just haven't regulated them. Every once in a while, we get someone. It's been many years though. The commission did see one application for one because they had it tethered to the bottom. It was something bigger at one of the condos. That was years ago. I think it was Orchard Lakes condo, maybe. I don't remember. But generally, they're not regulated.
Been Ledgebrook.
Or it might have been Ledgebrook. Actually, yes, I think it was Ledgebrook.
Okay, any other commissioners? Okay, then we're open for motion to adjourn. I saw Ed nod his head. I'm going to take that as a motion to adjourn. And I will second it. And all in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Have a nice couple of weeks, everybody. It looks like we finally got a half decent weather. Maybe we can enjoy it.
Good night.
Sounds good.
Good
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.